From the Cronkite studios in downtown Phoenix, this is Cronkite News.
Good evening and welcome to this special edition of Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Melanie Porter. Thank you for joining us. Tonight we take a look back at the top stories from our sports bureau, from efforts to prevent horse racing deaths to a new puck being used at NHL games.
Since last December, 37 horses have died at Santa Anita Racetrack in Southern California, with the most recent death at Breeders' Cup on November 2nd. But what happens to the racehorses that retire? Kyla Wilcher joins us live from our LA bureau to talk about horse sanctuary life. Kyla?
That's right. Racehorses in Southern California have a high risk of injury and death because mild temperatures year-round allow them to race until exhaustion. But some of these horses have life once the dust settles. That's where Red Wings Horse Sanctuary comes in. I made the trek up to Central California to see how these horses handle retirement. Meet Royal Gambler, Royal for short. He's a thoroughbred racehorse whose short career on the track damaged his tendons, leg bones, and hip. Now, Royal is getting his second chance at life.
He was in a very bad body condition when he was found. He was emaciated, but we've returned him to health, and he's a very happy boy.
Sarah Rugeroni's Horse Sanctuary in Lockwood, California, rescues injured and abused horses. Retired racehorses, like Center of Attention, came to this sanctuary after racing in Southern California and Turf Paradise in Phoenix. Now, she's living the good life.
Their life expectancy has been increasing as we have started to care for them more on the same level as a companion animal, so like a dog and a cat versus livestock or a work animal.
Red Wings is home to 73 horses, just like Wilbur and Weston here, who are all on the path to rehabilitation. Now, whether they're former race horses, work horses, or even just pets, Red Wings takes in the horses that need help the most.
We can't take every single horse that comes across our path, but we tend to specialize in, I'd say, the worst of the worst cases, and that's really rewarding to be a part of that.
Red Wings is saving horses at a time when 37 horses have died at Santa Anita Racetrack, also in California. Rugeroni wouldn't comment on those deaths, but says she'll take any horse from any track, like Royal. Royal once finished 6th at Santa Anita, and now he's moved on to greener pastures.
We try really hard to make sure that all the horses that are healthy enough to live in big community pastures can do so, because that's the way nature intended, was for them to live in herd groups in big open spaces.
Santa Anita Racetrack has not yet released a statement addressing the Breeders' Cup death. In December, the California Horse Racing Board plans to release the results of its investigation into the Santa Anita deaths. Live in Santa Monica, Kyla Wilcher, Cronkite News.
What does life look like for an athlete once their career is over?
While many of them don't have that answer, reporter Brady King introduces us to one ASU Sun Devil that has big plans for the future.
ASU tight end Tommy Hudson is enjoying his senior season with the Sun Devils. But once his playing days are over, he plans to trade in his cleats for combat boots and join the Navy SEALs.
I've fallen in love with the grind of the Navy SEAL and their ethos and the way they go about living each day, and their mental toughness and their fortitude. I think it's not matched in any branch in the military, and if you make it through that, I think you can make it through anything.
Teammates and coaches believe this is the perfect path for Hudson to pursue.
Like at the house, we're always playing Call of Duty, always going to like military movies and stuff like that. It's like I said, like it's an inspiration to see him do stuff like that. And like I said, like he's a huge competitor, so it's not really that surprising. So
I think his toughness, his intensity, and just his personality. You know, he's one of those driven young men that, you know, is very, very structured, and I think that would fit him well.
Hudson hasn't started training yet for the Navy SEALs, but in some ways, football is already preparing him for that process.
It just kind of gets your mindset as being a team player, you know, never leaving someone behind. You're only as strong as your weakest link. These little life lessons that I think get elaborated on when you get into the military.
Hudson's dream to serve our country follows in the footsteps of Pat Tillman, Arizona hero who left his career in the NFL to enlist in the Army.
I think there's just, you know, something like that I need to go do for myself, you know, to find out who I really am and just be able to like say that, you know, I serve this country because it's done so many great things for me.
Hudson's time in Tempe is winding down, but his commitment to our country will leave a lasting impact on this Sun Devil team. In Tempe, I'm Brady King, Cronkite Sports.
ASU head football coach Herm Edwards has always said that as a coach, you're also a teacher.
And as of a few months ago, that became true for him. Cronkite News reporter Matthew Roy has the story.
Thank you, Chris and Mackenzie. Edwards has left his mark on all levels of football. First as a player, then as a coach, and then, and most importantly to those at the Cronkite School, as a media personality and analyst for ESPN. Now, he'll be bringing lessons like don't press sand to classrooms down on the ASU's downtown campus.
Exciting fixture for us here at the Cronkite School, and that is conversations, plural, with Coach Herm Edwards.
As of the spring of 2020, ASU head football coach Herm Edwards won't just be on the sidelines, he'll be in the classroom too, as a professor of practice at ASU's Cronkite School of Journalism. But how did this idea even come up? Well, Edwards was convinced by his former agent and current ASU athletic director Ray Anderson, along with school president Michael Crow.
It was just kind of a conversation, and Dr. Crow was really kind of spearheading it. He says, why wouldn't we do this? And I said, I'll be fine to do it if you want to do it in the spring.
After that, Anderson had to convince Cronkite School Dean Chris Callahan, and well, that wasn't very hard.
Chris was gleeful and instantly supportive and very aggressively wanted to move to make it happen.
When he called me, just Ray, Ray and I know each other very well, and he called me, and he was about halfway through the idea. I'm like, I get it, I love it, let's do it.
Next time Edwards is in one of these classrooms, it won't be as coach, it'll be as professor, and he might just have a few surprises up his sleeve.
What he will also do is bring so many of his friends and colleagues and peers in the business here to ASU's campus to add their voice to what he's trying to teach and present.
Whether I bring in folks along with myself that have worked in television, that would kind of be interesting too.
The format for the classes or lectures is still up in the air, but one thing is not. Edwards and Anderson will be the first football coach and AD duo in the Power 5 conferences to also be faculty members. The fact that they are also the only African-American duo has Anderson hoping this opens the door for others.
The fact that we're two African-American men able to have this opportunity, we just want to make sure that it's an opportunity and a message that gets across to all the folks who may be interacting with us, notwithstanding race, color, religion, creed.
Edwards and Anderson have been friends for over 25 years and are now innovating and making history in the Valley of the Sun Devils.
Living up to a family legacy isn't light work, but there are a couple of special players on Arizona State's football team that aren't pinned back by it.
Cronkite News reporter Matthew Roy has more on the two ASU dynasties being continued this season.
Thank you, Jordan. For many, living up to the family name isn't easy. But for two ASU football special teamers, being a legacy leg just comes with the territory.
As a 64-yard punt launched off the leg of Michael Turk in his first game for ASU, coaches knew they had a lethal weapon on their hands.
He's a talented player, and he has a good background with punting, obviously, with his bloodline, and he's an outstanding young man.
What bloodlines? Well, the Lakes are strong with the Turk family. Michael's brother Ben punted at Notre Dame, and his uncle Matt punted in the NFL for 17 seasons.
Well, I can't say enough about how they've helped me, obviously, with my punting, and I lived with my uncle in high school, so just both of them are I look up to both of them as almost like guardian figures.
Michael took a year off after high school to train with his uncle and learn how to punt from a pro. Michael eventually earned a spot at Lafayette College, where he had a breakout season. Matt made many connections during his time in the NFL, two of which are on ASU's coaching staff. He played for now ASU coach Herm Edwards and was in the NFL at the same time as Slocum. So when Michael was looking for a bigger opportunity, Matt reached out to an old friend.
When Matt called me and said, hey, I've got my nephew, he's a pretty good punter, I'd like you to take a look at him, and that's where it all began.
Michael transferred to ASU but had to redshirt his sophomore season due to NCAA rules. During that time, he fine-tuned his craft, and when it was time to take the field again, he was ready. Michael was named the Pac-12 Special Teams Player of the Week after his ASU debut, where he averaged 63 yards per punt on 5 attempts, shattering the NCAA record. Michael's family has helped him prepare for these big moments, but it's up to him to perform.
Our family, we're blessed to have them, but we're going to have to go out on the field and do our own thing.
Turk says he doesn't feel the pressure of his preseason recognitions or his family name. His only focus is having a consistent season for the Sun Devils. However, he isn't the only legacy leg on this team. For more on that, let's kick it over to Matt Roy.
The name Zendejas is all over the ASU facility. Luis Zendejas, that is. The legendary Sun Devil was the greatest kicker in ASU history until all of his records got broken just a few years ago. Now, his son Christian is trying to make his own way in an ASU uniform.
They actually never pushed me into even kicking. I played soccer my entire life, probably for the past 10 years. Just made my way that way. My dad helped me every step of the way.
While there was no pressure to play football, Luis was concerned about the effect his ASU legacy might have on his son.
Yes, I was worried that that would probably make him try too hard to do something because of the name, not so much because of Christian. He just loves the football and the football family. And then the rest is like, Dad, I'm not going anywhere else but ASU. That's my son. He's always known.
Christian walked on to ASU in 2017 and has served as the backup kicker for 2 seasons. Now in his 3rd year, Christian is getting his shot because starting kicker Brandon Reese went down with an injury before the first game.
You never know how a young man's going to respond until he gets in a moment.
Christian responded by not missing a single kick through the first 3 weeks and earning Pac-12 Special Teams Player of the Week honors after the 2nd game.
I'm not surprised. I mean, he works extremely hard and has got a great foundation for what he's doing.
I just put my head down and worked, and then opportunity came. I've been waiting for the last 3 years. I'm excited.
I'm in the giving.
After all of his hard work, Christian was recently awarded a full scholarship.
He loves the coaches, loves the trainers, loves everything about ASU, that when you have that, he's home. That's what I feel like, he's home.
In Tempe, I'm Matthew Roy.
And I'm Brady King.
Cronkite News. Turk and Zendejas are both just redshirt sophomores, so ASU football fans can look forward to more booming kicks for years to come. In the Media Center, Matthew Roy, Cronkite News.
The Coyotes picked up their first win last night against the Las Vegas Knights. And what a lot of people don't know is that the NHL is using a new puck. Sports reporter Nick White explains this color-changing technology.
The NHL has taken a move from the Coors Light playbook, but it doesn't have anything to do with beer. The same technology on the can that turns the mountains blue is now being used on hockey pucks. Hockey pucks take a lot of punishment during a game, but they are handled with great care before making their way to the ice, where they must be completely frozen before they are game ready.
I think they just bounce a lot. I think frozen pucks are nice when making passes, and the puck just seems to sit on the ice a little bit better when they're warm. They seem to be bouncy. They're just literally like a bouncy ball. It's hard to keep control of the puck, and it definitely helps when they're frozen for sure.
The standard NHL puck is made up of vulcanized rubber, which glides more smoothly across the ice when the temperature is below freezing.
There's a range the league likes it between 14 and 20, 18 being the preferred temperature.
This year, the National Hockey League is trying something new by using the same thermochromic coating Coors Light uses on their bottles and cans to show that the beer is cold. The NHL's logo color on the puck will change, letting the officials know it is not frozen anymore. And even though the change is very simple, where the NHL logo is going from purple to white, a frozen puck can play a huge impact in the game of hockey.
Most teams, the locker room attendants do hang on to the game pucks until the day of the game. Recently, we just changed it here that I actually have possession of the game pucks for at least a few games in advance. So I keep them in one freezer in a separate room, and then the day of the game, I transfer them to our puck freezer that actually stays in the penalty box.
They have like 20 or 25 inside the penalty box there, and after every TV timeout and after every goal, they change it out. So, I mean, I've heard over 20 pucks. I mean, if it's a high-scoring game, they take a puck out every day time. So,
as long as the pucks are kept at the right temperature and the logo's color is purple, they will continue to be placed right where they are supposed to be, in the back of the net. The logo is not the only thing changing. The NHL is in the process of putting a tracker in the puck to see how far and how fast it travels during a game. In the studio, Nick White, Cronkite News.
The Coyotes' future in Arizona has been an open question for the last few years, but a new owner is giving fans hope that the team will remain in the desert.
Cronkite News reporter Trey Bates joins us now to explain why more than 5,000 of those fans brought that hope with them to Gila River Arena over the weekend.
When Alex Morella completed his purchase of the Arizona Coyotes in July, he made clear his commitment to keeping the team in Arizona for the long term. Over the weekend, the team put that commitment to the fans on open display, hosting a fan fest that gave Coyotes faithful a chance to get up close and personal with some of their favorite players. The Coyotes gave the fans an opportunity to get out of the heat with the free event. The team has faced a lot of speculations over the past few years on whether the franchise would stay in Arizona. The Coyotes understand the importance of events like this to the community.
We give attendees some really great unprecedented player access that they would not get any other time during the season. We have players signing autographs, taking selfies, playing cornhole, playing NHL 19 video games with fans. So that's really something that we don't really get to offer a lot throughout the season. So that kind of one-on-one interaction and that player part is really unique to this event, and fans love coming for that reason.
There were a lot of stations throughout the arena where the Coyotes interacted with the fans, which included face painting, bounce houses, and ring toss. And while the fans in attendance were having fun, so were the players.
Yeah, it's obviously nice to get inside a little bit, and it's nice and cold in here event because we're trying to build a game and build our team out in the community, and I think this helps for the fans to be able to see what we look like without the gear on, and just to be able to talk to us a little bit. Obviously the other way around too.
Now, we're used to seeing baseballs fly out of Chase Field during Diamondbacks games this time of year, but last night we saw something that we've never seen before here in downtown Phoenix.
Cronkite News reporter Lindsay Amundsen was at Chase Field last night and brings us the story.
Drones started through neon-colored gates at 90 miles per hour, flown by the top 12 most elite drone pilots, all in front of a sold-out crowd of 4,200 fans for the first ever DRL live event in the United States.
The moniker our fans have given our league is the real-life video game, and I think when fans walk in here tonight and see the lights and the drones, it really does feel like a video game or a sci-fi movie brought to real life.
As pilots sit in the center of the track wearing first-person viewing goggles, they use a transmitter to fly their drone through different gates around the stadium.
Once we put the goggles on, we're all the same people. We've all experienced the same thing, and so being able to share this experience with someone that I don't even share the same language of is a very interesting and exciting human connection that few get to experience in their life.
For the youngest pilot, 19-year-old Alex Vanover, this race meant a little extra. Alex told his father before he passed away from Alzheimer's in 2017 that he would become a world champion drone racer. And Sunday night, he finally got the opportunity to do just that.
He's not with us anymore, but he's with us in heaven, and I'm doing this for him. I'm here to be a world champion just like he was and to follow in his footsteps.
The DRL was created in 2015 with races all over the world. The drones in league were created from scratch, and it took 4 years to get to the U.S.
We had to build all the technology that enables the league. We had to introduce the world to it. We had to get it broadcast on TV so fans knew about the sport. So really, this event tonight at Chase Field is the culmination of years of work and development, technological innovation, and building a new sport.
The league is looking to bring more races here to the U.S. next year. In the newsroom, Lindsay Amundsen, Cronkite News.
A new attraction at the Arizona State Fair has locals lining up for their chance at a prize. But this is not your everyday ring toss.
Cronkite News eSports reporter Eric Ruby joins us in the studio. Eric, how and why have eSports made their way to the fairgrounds?
Well, eSports is an industry that's seen a major boom, and now, with the help of the Arizona State Fair, audiences are growing one Arizonan at a time. The State Fair, an Arizona institution since 1905, is experimenting with a new attraction this year.
In years past, going to the State Fair meant playing games like this. But now, it means using games like this.
The State Fair is holding an esports exhibition and competition for the first time ever. The event has everything from casual gaming experiences to collegiate level competitions and tournaments for money. State Fair representative and director of sponsorships Kat Landingen says despite it only being their first year, they're already feeling support from fans and sponsors.
We've gotten a lot of support online. We've gotten a lot of partners in the esports world all over the city contacting us, so that's amazing. That's one of the goals that we had.
Not only has the event brought eyes to the esports world, it's brought money. Through a partnership with the Arizona Lottery, the State Fair has put on daily cash matches where they'll be giving away $19,000 to the winners over the entirety of the fair. But one of the vendor coordinators, stage director Brian Hollis, thinks the importance of events like these at places like the State Fair goes beyond just the money.
I mean, just in general, esports is real. It's not going away. It's growing. It's only going to get bigger. It is the sport of the future. And whether you think sports have to do with athletics or not, it's not the point. The point is this is not going anywhere. And these being at agricultural fairs like this are a prime example.
Gym class, something not many students look forward to in school, but one private school in Scottsdale is working to change that.
Cronkite sports reporter Mackenzie Pavicic went to Gateway Academy to see how they're revamping PE.
These are the kids that are picked last. They have this horrible perception of what PE is all about. At Gateway, with our Get Fit Mind and Body program, they make it fun, they make it interesting, it is kind, it is respectful.
The Gateway Academy is open to students grades 3 through 12 who have level 1 autism spectrum disorder.
I'm the goalie!
The Get Fit program helps students learn to balance healthy brains with healthy bodies. And for instructor Marissa Scholke, that meant mixing up the curriculum a bit.
I knew I was kind of walking into something that I had to revolutionize a little bit. Kids just weren't engaged. And so I was able to bring in a lot of kind of new and fresh ideas.
Scholke's fresh ideas included incorporating things like yoga and weight training into daily life at Gateway. She says after a little pushback, students began to slowly warm up to their newly structured class.
She has many things in her toolbox when a student is saying, no, I really don't want to try it.
Those tools come in handy for many of Scholke's students. Josh Smith is one of them, and he's been at Gateway for as long as the Get Fit program has.
When he first got here and Coach Marissa got here, they butted heads. He did not want anything to do with gym, and now that's all he talks about.
Anytime I get to do exercise, any chance I get, to makes me excited to where I can't wait to do it.
But Josh wasn't always this enthusiastic about gym class, or much else when he was in public school.
Josh was the kid who, come recess time, he'd go and just sit. You know, he wouldn't play anything. He wouldn't associate with anybody, you know, and every day coming home from school, I hate it. I don't want to go back.
A 2012 study published in the American Journal of Occupational Therapy looked to see if yoga had an impact on the behavior of autistic students. It compared a group of students who had yoga introduced regularly into their classroom to a group who didn't. And what the study found was that when yoga was introduced regularly into the classroom setting, teachers noted a decrease in what they call maladaptive behavior. Things like irritability, social withdrawal, and hyperactivity all decreased significantly over time in a small classroom setting, similar to what exists at Gateway.
The growth over the past 4 years has just been unbelievable. He has gone from F's and D's in school to straight A's.
Josh says that yoga and the rest of Get Fit has had a noticeably positive impact on his daily life.
It's made me more calm and more relaxed than how I would normally be without it. And before I would be constantly stressed out and I would be just really anxious. But now I've noticed a major change since I've been starting to do yoga and more exercise.
It means the world to me that, you know, Josh or just any student is taking at least a little bit of what I'm teaching and applying it outside of school. That's been my one objective, is if they can take a tool or two to keep with them, to carry with them throughout adulthood, and then they are acting on that, then that's monumental, especially for our population of kids here.
And as Josh gets ready to move into adulthood, he says he's looking forward to getting the full college experience at a 4-year university where he plans to study psychology.
I think that studying the human behavior is an interesting thing.
Sweet says the Gateway Academy guides its students in the direction of a community college before making the jump to a larger 4-year university. But the biggest takeaway she wants her students to graduate with?
Feeling like they are a warrior, that they have incredible talents. They are good, kind human beings. And the world is a welcoming place as opposed to a place of rejection.
In Scottsdale, I'm Mackenzie Pavicic, Cronkite News.
That's it for this special edition of Cronkite News. Thank you for joining us. For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
As journalists at Cronkite News, we report on stories that matter to you by focusing on the local impact. We dig deeper and work tirelessly to keep you informed.
Live in Wickerburg.
Live in Los Angeles.
In Cleveland, in Washington, in Louisville.
From Jerusalem. Live in Philadelphia.
From around the world to right here in Phoenix.
At Cronkite News, we report the facts and stick to the truth.
The world is